wasn't until like recently I got diagnosed with ADHD. It was just a year ago. So I was an adult already in my 30s when I got the ADHD diagnosis. And then for some reason, when I tell people I have ADHD, it's kind of like now it's okay to be annoying. So it's kind of I think it's kind of weird.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special guest. This is Kendrick. He is the host of Personality Trainer. It is the largest archive of MBTI related interviews that you can find. I think he has like over a million, right? Like 2 million videos out there. I love your channel because it feeds my NI geek like need for perspective. Kendrick, here's your time to shine for those people who've never been to your channel. Tell us a little about yourself.
My channel or myself? Both.
Whatever you want, dude.
Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick, and I run a channel called Personality Trainer. It's of like podcast slash YouTube interview where I interview people who went through a professional to get type. So I don't have a single person I've interviewed that was self-type. So it's to eliminate any biases and to make sure it's as accurate as possible because ultimately you want to know what your type is. So you have a roadmap to personal growth. If you get the wrong type, you're going to be looking towards something that is not going to help you. So that roadmap is extremely important. The thing is I interview every single type, not just the popular ones like INFJ and INTJ. Like everyone is interviewed.
Because everyone loves us.
And I have a huge archive of sensory types as well. So, if you want to know what those other types are like, because they don't get enough spotlight shine on them. I feel like everyone online is all about INTJ, INFJ, NFP, like all the popular types, right? So, yeah, you get to see what the other ones like types are, like the ISFJs, for example, or the ESFJs, and the more sensor types. Um, as far as for me, my channel's called Personality Trainer because I work in the fitness industry for over 10 years. I work as a personal trainer. That's why it's called Personality Trainer because that's kind of like my segment there. And I teach spin classes. I'm into health and fitness, and I'm into personality, as you guys already know, and I'm into playing video games, and also I'm into travel. Like I've been to 102 countries.
Yeah.
My mission is to visit every single country in the world, and there's 193 of them. So I'm over halfway done right now. My girlfriend's an INTJ, so I'm in a traditional ENFP INTJ relationship. Although the system that I follow, which is called objective personality, I am a thinker ENFP. I am NETE as opposed to the traditional NEFI. And my girlfriend is not the traditional INTJ, so she's not NITE, but rather NIFI. So she goes straight to that, you talked about it in your channel, the NIFI loop. She's doing that all day. She's not doing as much NITE, until older in her life.
Man, that sounds horrible. NIFI loop all day.
Yeah, I know it's terrible for sure. I've seen it, and
Yeah.
like you need to get out of that. That's toxic to be in there all the time.
So what I'm hearing is that you got a lot of dirt to talk about INTJs in this interview. From personal
Yeah,
experience,
I
huh?
I love INTJs, but you guys are crazy. There's
You know,
nothing else to say about that.
I think the funny thing is that's probably how we feel about you guys too, like the NFPs.
Yeah,
You guys are fantastic to be around. You guys like honestly like some of my favorite people out there. But sometimes I'm just watching you guys like, what is that woo woo going on in your head right now? Like, how do we get here? Like what's going on? You brought up something that I really appreciate about you and your channel. First and foremost, your channel has an archive of all these videos out there, and it makes my TE very happy to see someone who is consistently putting out videos. You have a very high cadence, and you've been doing it for years too. So if anything, I appreciate just your consistency because that consistency just shows like your passion, and also regardless of whatever your why is, it's very helpful. The people that you have on your channel, they're just real people, and I love that about your videos because you're actually having just normal conversations with real people. So yeah, man, you ready for this interview? You're representing all ENFPs out in the world.
All right, let's do this.
This question is brought up the most in most MBTI forums, Reddit posts, YouTube comments, and all that stuff when it comes down to ENFPs. So, Kendrick, why the hell are ENFPs so annoying?
So annoying. That's a little bit of a overgeneralization. But if I were
Mm,
to think how I annoyed people, um, first one is I'm all over the place. So very
yeah.
scattered. That's my extrovert intuition. extrovert intuition is usually what annoys people about me as an ENFP. And wasn't until like recently I got diagnosed with ADHD. It was just a year ago. So I was an adult already in my 30s when I got the ADHD diagnosis. And then for some reason, when I tell people I have ADHD, it's kind of like now it's okay to be annoying. So it's kind of I think it's kind of weird. They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you just have ADHD. Okay, that's why you're like going crazy, changing topics all the time in the middle of the conversation." And you know, when I was younger, I annoyed people because I was flaky as hell. Like I would,
Mm.
my friends would organize a get together, and I would not show up. Right? And ENFPs have always been considered to be like more introverted, extroverted type. Even my mom, when she was talking to my girlfriend just yesterday, and she was describing me to my mom, said, "Oh, Kendrick was quiet when he was growing up. He just kept to himself." Which is kind of ironic because now I'm super extroverted, right?
Mm.
So ENFPs tend to be more introverted, even though, but then when we are with people, especially people that we want to engage with, we are super extroverted, right?
Yeah.
Um, the well, I think the annoyances that's coming from me is I'm just all over the place. Like I'm all over the place. It got better as I got older. Like I'm more organized now than when I was younger. I think my introvert sensing has been activated, so I can organize now. But before, when I was younger, I totally hated the SI and want to do it. So I was all over the place. But now that I'm organized with the SI, it's not as bad as before. Not even close.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that extrovert intuition is where the misconception or like the stereotype comes in. That extrovert intuition is why you guys seem annoying because like I want to hear from your own perspective. What is it about extrovert intuition leads to that stereotype and how it feels as a person who has extrovert intuition when you hear people say, hey, like you're being too much or you're being annoying.
I think the biggest feeling is misunderstood. Like I feel misunderstood. Sometimes I don't even get a chance to put forth all my points before I get cut off.
Hmm.
There is a point with the extrovert intuition. I am gathering patterns, concepts from different sources. Well, it sounds like it's scattered and kind of all over the place, but there is a point. Like it's kind of like Jordan Peterson's an ENTP, right? If you read his book, it's kind of scattered too, but he has a point at the end. So as an ENFP, I do have a point in the end. So if you wait for the conclusion, you will be surprised that I've connected all these different concepts and patterns.
Hmm.
Um, so it sounds scattered from the front end, but in the back end, there is a point to it. I haven't felt like I was called too much lately. So like I said, like it's really because I've used my introvert sensing better now.
Hmm.
So I think when I was younger, I didn't use the introvert sensing. The problem arises where my education is unrelatable. Like it's hard to relate to what I'm trying to say. Especially with the sensor types, right? I had more trouble with the sensor types. And, I think if people were to call me out for something, or people that would get overwhelmed by me, I feel like they're extrovert feelers, to be honest. Like,
Hmm.
like, like the ESFJ and ENFJ, those would be the ones I would trigger the most. Because I'm thinking now with like the INTJs and INTJ friend, the one who I told you like loves your channel. Yeah,
Hi.
he's only gotten annoyed at me because I'm not using my introverted functions as much to process what he says.
Hmm.
You know, or he'll tell me some concept, NT concept that he has, this NITE. Then I won't like mull over it with my FI and SI. I would just be like, really? Okay, well, what about this idea? Like another pattern, because the NI organizes pattern while the NE kind of gathers patterns.
Yep.
I'm like throwing him all these different patterns, and he's getting upset because he's perceives that I'm shitting on his NI. I'm not shitting on your NI, dude. Like I'm just trying to validate it to make sure that I'm not missing any gaps. But otherwise we're good. So I don't like any problems I have with INTJ are usually extremely minor and short-lived. And ENFPs and INTJs like best friends usually. Like they get along really well, right?
Yeah.
Like in general, like any EP types or and IJ types tend to get along. It's definitely easier to talk to someone that has introvert feeling and extrovert thinking. So I feel like I tend to trigger people with extrovert feeling because I'm not saying things that is socially appropriate. Because like the
Hmm.
extrovert feelers, they're scanning for what is socially appropriate, and they're saying things that is. more socially digestible, right? Well, like for me, I have my introvert feeling and I'm self-amusing. So, it's gonna, you know, off certain people, especially when I'm in public and they're like, hey, you shouldn't be saying that. You're gonna be offending those people. But for me, it's like, I don't really care, you know.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, I can see those things. Definitely oh, offending people. But like for my own personal history, the people that would find me overwhelming or would get pissed at me they're always the same type. They're always ENFJ is the type that I least get along with the most. Um,
ENFJs. Wow.
ENFJs, I do not have any long term friends with any ENFJs. It
Okay.
fizzles out really quickly. Yeah, that is the type that I have. Uh, it's like we're both of the. It's like we repel each other.
Mhm.
So even in my workplace, like I was working as a recruiter for a travel nurse company here in Canada, and boss was an ENFJ. Then one of my colleagues that was training me was also an ENFJ, and I butt heads with both of them. So ENFJ is a type. I'm not saying ENFJs are bad. I'm just saying, for me personally, and I don't know if it's an ENFP thing, but for me personally, I butt heads with the ENFJ the most. I do butt heads with the ESFJs, but I have noticed I have been able to maintain friendships with them, even though
Mhm.
I piss them off. So there is, and I think that is because like the ENFJs and the ENFPs, we share no cognitive functions whatsoever.
Mhm.
Nothing.
Mhm.
The ESFJs, at least we share extrovert intuition, introvert sensing. So
Yeah.
there is kind of like a shared understanding there, right? But those other guys, there's nothing. There's no understanding. Although you could say, ironically, I get along with INFJs a lot, and I share no functions with them. So um, I'm not sure why that is, but that seems to be my situation. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That's like if an INTJ doesn't get along with an INTP because we share no functions, but INTJs and INTPs are I swear when we meet each other, it's just the most natural thing. All right, cool. Thank you for that explanation. I think it's very interesting that ENFPs have this tendency of being somewhat overwhelming to a lot of people out there, but for an INTJ, you guys are a good level. Sometimes a little too much, but then again, for an INTJ, everyone is too much. We're even too much for ourselves. So, it's nothing. It's nothing different. Question number two that I have for you. This actually ties back to something that you said earlier about not being there. Right? As an ENFP, why are you guys always late? And do you guys not care about other people's times? That's why you guys are not always late or don't show up.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I did do that a lot.
Hmm.
Guilty as charged. There is no excuse for it. It's not good. I'm embarrassed about it, and other ENFPs should be embarrassed about it. This is not something that we should be proud of. It's something that is ultimately our downfall, and it's very disrespectful. I don't do it anymore.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm older, and if I'm going to be late, I let the person know ahead of time that I'm going to be late. If I were to think back, why I did it? It's probably because of my introvert feeling. Like I just didn't want to be there, or I felt like going to that social event is going to be overwhelming. I know we're supposed to be extroverted, but I think my introvert feeling gets drained by extrovert feeling. So, when you have like a fake social interactions, me, that already sounds very draining. I don't want to be there.
Hmm.
Even though I'm an extrovert, even though I'm an extrovert,
Yeah.
I like to be with people. But the moment it's like fake interaction, FI is all about authenticity, right? I want to be there. I'm overwhelmed. I'm drained. So that's not an excuse, obviously. I don't know if it's like being an ENFP or because I have ADHD, but I think with ADHD, I don't have a good concept of time
Okay.
in a sense, like, and maybe because I'm lead intuitive also, but like I was really bad at misjudging how much time I need to get to a place. That's why I'm always late.
Hmm.
I think, oh yeah, I can make it there, but then I don't plan for like foreseeing things like traffic or something else that comes up. So it's just like a poor estimation of sensory, the time, the traffic, all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
Um, the second thing is you can get away with a lot of things. So like I know if I flake on a friend or if I'm late, they'll forgive me if I just apologize profusely after
Hmm.
after I get there. So, but like I said, it's not good. I don't see it as a positive thing. now I don't do it because I know it's very disrespectful of other time, and I learned that as I got older when I would organize my own events and I want people to come and then they're showing up late also and they flake and like I'm like, oh, that's not cool. That makes me feel bad that these people are doing this to me. If other ENFPs are still doing it, you need to stop. Okay, you're fucked up. Sorry to swear, but like like you're fucked up. Don't do that. It's not cool.
Yeah, I've actually personal experience with ENFP that did that. She did it too many times, or it got to the point where I straight up had to call her out. I'm like, hey, I can't hang out with you anymore because every time we make plans, I'm adjusting my entire world around this moment, and then you would tell me last minute that you can't make it, and then this is a me thing, but she used her mental health as an excuse, like, oh, I wasn't there because of mental health reasons, right? But then I would retort, be like, what about my mental health? Like you're looking at it from your perspective. I'm going through a lot of stuff too, and then I'm going through my stuff in order to meet you, right? Like there's kind of an expectation, especially for an INTJ in friendship. It's like the loyalty portion, right? Like I'm yeah, like I'm putting everything aside. I'm handling all my internal issues, all my mental issues to go see you. The least you could do is see me, or at bare minimum, let me know ahead of time that you can't make it instead of like 30 minutes ahead of time when I'm already on the road or something.
Even for me personally, other ENFPs have done this to me.
Hmm.
So I just kind of realized I'm like, I don't want to be that kind of ENFP. Not gonna be that, and not even just an ENFP. I don't want to be that kind of person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, you have your type, but you don't have to associate with stereotypes attached to it. You can break free from it, right? So
Mhm.
that's how I've always seen.
When we're talking about friendships, when it comes down to ENFP, something that I've noticed is that there is this want for connection with other people. And it's not really connection as in like an extroverted feeling, like, oh, I want everyone to engage as a group and everyone to be harmonious in a group setting or anything. It's more along the lines of I want to know you and I want to know what you stand for because for some reason ENFPs have this like I think it's a need, which correct me if I'm wrong, but I need to know what other people stand for so you guys can help like champion them along. Like, what is that I'm trying to explain, and then how does it feel to have that?
I just feel like that's my EFI.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like SEFI like the ESFPs or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So it's not the sensory I'm after. It's your essence that I'm after. Okay?
What
So
does
I
that
want to
what
know
does that mean?
what I mean by essence is I want to know the real you,
Mm-hmm.
not like what you're showing outwardly, like what's going on inside, like your motivation, your purpose, your goals. All these things fascinate me, and when you tell it to me, I feel energized, and I can also trust you more if I know that you have an authentic trajectory that you're going after. It could be something not as good sounding. Like for example, like let's say your goal is like, oh, I want to be a CEO of a company, and I, build this buildings and make people homeless. I'm like, okay, like, for me, I'm like, okay, that sounds horrible, but at the same time, you're honest about it. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not really gonna get mad at you. It's when people are dishonest about their true goals and intentions that bothers me. Okay, so if
Okay.
you say something that sounds kind of bad, like kind of like cutthroat, I'm like, eh, that's you. I appreciate it, So,
Yeah.
but if you're someone that's saying, oh, I want to help the world, help people, make the world a better place, and I look at them like, I feel like you're full of shit,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then I don't trust you, and I don't like you, and maybe that's why I butt heads with the lead expert dealers,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't trust that fake niceness, maybe I get along with INTJ, the bluntness, because I
Mm-hmm.
trust it. I trust, the cold hard truth,
Yeah.
I don't trust the nice sounding things, but it's not the true intention. So, and for me personally, like I just can't stand inauthentic people. With that being said, there are people who are authentically inauthentic. I know that sounds weird. Like I have a friend, he's an ISTP, and uh, he acts very pretentious
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot, and he lies a lot. If he didn't do that, it wouldn't be him. So for me, it's like that's kind of okay to an extent. I've
Okay.
called him out a few times on some of his behavior, but at the same time, I'm not here to change him or make him somebody he's not because he does a lot of scummy things, but that's him, and that's his authentic self, and oh, I accept that. You know,
Yeah.
so it is what it is, right? So that's how that's how I feel about yeah the
What
question.
what about FE users where I've heard FE users say that it's authentic to them to use extrovert feeling. Like that's when they're the most authentic to be like, oh, like let's extrovert my feelings to see what's socially acceptable, and then once there's a consensus, then it's like, okay, like this is how I feel.
Oh, I don't have a problem with extrovert feeling. I have a problem with extrovert feeling if they don't balance it with their introvert thinking. So if
Mm,
you look at the ENFJs and ESFJs, so one of the reasons why I tend to butt heads, especially with the ENFJ, but a bit with the ESFJs too, they have introvert thinking as their fourth function, and they once who avoid it, I will probably not get along with you very very well.
yeah.
Because you're not telling me the truths, your truths, right?
Mm,
So well, like if you look at the ENTP or the INFJ, for example, they have those in the middle, right? The TI and the E.
mm,
Oh, yeah, they can do all the friendly, extra repeating stuff, but they can also tell you the cold hard truth, like the harshness of
yeah.
that introvert thinking, and and that is the perfect balance, in my opinion.
Mm,
So I'm seeing both sides of you, right? So I can trust you, but the other ones, it's a little bit more difficult, because not telling me your truths, and as a result, hiding something.
mm,
And if you're hiding something, I don't know what you're hiding. If we're gonna be, we're gonna have a friendship, right? If it's something that will affect me in the future, because I'm intuitive ultimately, so I'm looking at the trajectory of this relationship, like further in the future. I'm looking at all the possibilities where the friendship can go. I make friends easily, but introvert feeling does filter out who I want to be in my inner circle or become my friend.
mm.
So um, if I notice someone is not authentic with my introvert feeling, I don't want them to be in there. Might keep you around as an acquaintance, but never be my friend. And it's gonna be hard for you to convince me otherwise.
You use the word trust. I think like 3 or 4 times during this interview so far. Like, what's the core essence of what that means during like in a friendship? Is it just being truthful at all times, or is it being truthful whenever you ask them for the truth? Like because we're human beings. We engage with everyone how we think we should engage with them. There are certain people that do a lot of like white lies. Like I do it too, especially when it comes down to kids. When a kid's like, "Oh, look at this dance," I'm like, "Oh, that's such a cool dance." Like just because I know that the truth, like the benefit outweighs being truthful, right? Like what does being truthful or trust mean to you? And when is it necessary as to when is it okay not to?
Um, a good question. Never really thought about it in detail, to be honest.
Bro, you're talking to an IDOM, man. This is all we talk about. This is all we think about.
The first thing that comes to mind is if you don't tell me the truth, you have extrovert feeling, for example, you are assuming I can't handle the truth. If you're not willing to go there, then the friendship cannot progress because you're only showing me a part of yourself. So I don't actually know who you are,
Hmm.
right? Therefore, we cannot be actually friends. We just be acquaintances. We have shallow interactions and pleasantries, right? It's not a real friendship. I don't like being lied to, so and I have a pretty good radar when people are lying to. So when people are bullshitting me, I can kind of detect that easily.
Hmm.
Especially because I travel a lot, so I deal with a lot of like slimy salespeople,
Hmm.
taxi drivers, all that stuff. So I have a pretty good radar for someone lying to me. I'm not gonna say I'm not someone that is uh, suspicious of everyone. I'm not actually. I will prod to see if you are someone that will tell me the truth, be honest, and if you're someone that's not, if you're someone that's, like a bullshitter. I mean, I don't mind people bullshitting for fun. Okay, I mean
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. I think that's funny. I'm more talking about like more serious topics. Okay, we're gonna make a plan together,
Hmm.
right? And I want you to tell me truth about your schedule. We're gonna make plans, and if you're actually gonna show up, if you're actually gonna show up, or if you actually wanna go ahead with the plan. You know? People say, yeah, I want to, they travel together or go to this place together, and they don't show up or they bail last minute, right? Kind of like the typical ENFP story that we kind of discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Wasting my time if you never plan to go there to begin with. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if you say I don't want to go there. It wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. I don't get angry if you it led me to believe that we're in this together. We're planning this together, and then you don't actually have any intention to go. So that to me is I would cut you off probably at that point. It also happens too with my YouTube channel. Sometimes people would contact me and they want to interview with me, and they don't show up. Later they message me again. It's like, oh, actually just happened. I'm gonna call this person out just because it just happened. I don't think he's gonna watch it. I don't think he watches your channel, but I'll just call it. If he sees it,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
I'm just, it's just my channel. I have no leg in this.
So this one INFJ person, yeah, let's do an interview. I'm available on this day. I'm like, sweet, okay. Send him the Zoom link. I'm like, where are you? Doesn't say anything. Doesn't show up. Message me out of the blue like a few weeks later, like today. And he's like, okay, well, I can show up to an interview tomorrow. No excuses this time. You know us INFJs, we tend to disappear. And I just emailed the guy back, and I'm like, I'm not interested. You didn't even apologize for not showing up. Tell me the truth. Why did you show up? And then apologize for it. Use your FE, right? You have FE, to tell, so use your FE and your TI. Tell me the TI truth, and then FE apologize. I think you're not a good person. You're disrespectful of my time. So that's kind of how. That's just one example, right? Okay. And if you look at the statistics, if you try to interview so many people, there's gonna be like a percentage that's gonna do that. Just out of like a numbers game kind of deal. I'm very careful. Very protective of my time as I get older. So if the person doesn't tell me the TI truth, then I cannot give you if you flake out or bail out of something that we have to collaborate on together, right? If you do, hey, no problem. Even if it's something like really silly and like it sounds completely illogical to me, the fact that you told me it's fine. It's fine. I'm actually chill when it comes to this kind of stuff. Once you communicate. So for me, communication is very important. Because it takes two to make things work, right? Like for me and my girlfriend, for example, we have very good open communication. So anytime we had a conflict, we've always managed to talk it out, and that's why we've been together for so long, right? So yeah, so that's kind of like what it is with the truth for me. It's a lot of it's just mainly like trust, honestly. Like, can I rely on you?
There you go, using that same word again. Like that's a theme for this video. You said trust a few times.
Like I have plans in the future, right? So don't want misinformation to get in the way of the plans. So that the truth thing is like, you tell me the truth and my plan can proceed. I can come up with a backup plan. If you don't tell me the truth and I put together this plan and you lie to me, and the plan, I wasted my time putting together this plan, essentially. It's a disrespect of my time if I don't hear the truth. So, and then I don't trust you, and then every time I see you now, I see you as like someone that's not trustworthy, and I don't want to make plans with you. And my introvert feeling holds grudges. So now I don't like you now. The relationship is gonna have a downward spiral, And it's a little bit like long-winded answer, but that's pretty much my perspective on it.
It's not long-winded if it's the truth. So just thank you for being honest. When it comes down to extroverted thinking, which is your tertiary function in your stack, can you explain how it affects you as a person when it's like a superpower and when it's like, oh, it's something that you should work on because it's just not there, or things could be better if you engage more with extroverted thinking?
I don't have a problem with extrovert thinking at all because I'm not the traditional ENFP. I'm not NEFI. I'm NETE. So I actually have more problems with my FI, my TE. Even though if you look at the stack, the introvert feeling is still second, so it's still stronger than my extrovert thinking technically. At the way my type works is because I'm a jumper ENFP, NETE, right?
Mhm.
I use my T so much that it's actually really good. Although, even though it's really good, it's not INTJ good. Not as good as INTJs, but it's pretty damn good.
We're not as good as ESTJs or ENTJs, so I get it.
Oh, you're not. No, but they kind of overdose in it. So,
Yeah, it's wild.
I find that your first function and your fourth function are imbalanced, while your middle ones are more balanced. But you overdose in your first one, which is not good. That's why we're talking about like being a flaky, unreliable ENFP. Yeah, I was overdosing my extrovert intuition, right? So now when I kick in the introvert sensing, now I'm reliable, right? So, and a lot of ENFPs don't want to do that because introvert sensing is so painful to use, right? And I get it. It's so people I hate it, but it's part of growing up, right? Do you want to grow up or not, right? That's kind of like the way to think about it. So with extrovert thinking, yeah, what works for everyone, and then coming up with like a logical execution for that, no problem. Do it all the time. Like it's so easy for me. I do it all day. Don't see any big problem with extrovert thinking whatsoever. I have more problems with introvert feeling actually. I'm not really sure how to answer your question other than as straightforward as that.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that because during this interview so far, it sounds like you have a pretty good grasp of your introverted feeling. You explained how other people hurting you in a way affects you as a person and how you not necessarily retaliate, but how you respond to it. I think the part of extrovert thinking that I'm thinking about is the ability to kind of identify systems, engage with systems, and figure out how systems are connected, how to rise above, or how to cheat a system, if that makes sense.
I think you're describing the INTJ version of it. It's the NI.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. That's
part.
I'm trying to figure out what TE is for like an NE user.
Well, RT is attached to extrovert intuition and also introvert sensing, right?
Yeah.
So, introvert sensing is the easiest one because it's like introvert sensing is like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, right? So, it could be as simple as me giving directions to someone. Like for example, when I used to work as a recruiter for the security company, um, and we do fly in, fly out. So the security staff had to fly to a different city. Sorry, I would have to tell them like the steps to get to the location where they're supposed to work. So I'm like, okay, step 1, go to this airport, right? Step 2, once you're at this airport, you have to take the shuttle from this city to this city. Step 3, do this, right? Or it can be cooking, right? Oh, how do you fry eggs, right? Step 1, put the oil. Step 2, crack the eggs on top of it, right? Like it's like that's what SIT is, right? So it's more physical systems as opposed to conceptual, like the INTJ's version is. Kind of like Robert Kiyosaki, he has like the rich dad poor dad system, right?
Yep.
But it's not conceptual that the ENFPs are doing. We're doing physical systems, like how to cook, like the exact recipe, the exact SI recipe for the food, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, or for me, I travel a lot, so I would be able to describe to someone, the systems I follow. If I'm going to the airport and I want to make sure I catch my flight, and I also save the most money for travel, right? So I'll tell you the system, like, okay, how do you maximize your credit card points so that you can redeem it on flights, for example, right?
That's so SI, yeah.
They're all physical systems. I'll tell you, like, okay, this is the exact name of the credit card that you have to get, okay, and and then they start the benefits, and they're all SI benefits, right? Like you get lounge access, you get, let's say, 20,000 points, so it's all like sensory, right? And then the other side of the extrovert thinking that I personally use is with the NE. So it's extrovert intuition. So basically, this is NT, and they're both extroverted, right? Extrovert intuition and extrovert thinking. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm problem solving with other people, the collaboration with other people. It's not like the INTJ where like you came up with this, you came up with a solution in your head, and then you present it to people, and then you leave, right? And the person's like, aren't we gonna, like, how do you know it's gonna?
That's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah, like, shouldn't we talk this out? The solution that you're providing me, you're like, INTJ is like, I already thought it out. I thought it out for you. Like I've already organized it. Like, the concept is gonna work. Just trust me, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna work. So, but because my problem solving is with other people. Like I have to start with other people. Some people might think it's annoying. That's how ENFPs do it. That's how we solve problems, is with other people, right? And it's not like like the INTJs can this like perfectly organized solution that they provide to people. The ENFPs, we don't have organized solution because we don't know what solution is until we talk to the other person. Because it comes in from the moment of the interaction.
Yeah.
You know? So I can see that being annoying to a lot of types, especially those with either introvert intuition or introvert thinking. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing with extrovert thinking too, I it's not as bad as like ENTJs and ESTJs, but I have seen myself piss off people with introvert thinking, especially the ENFJs and ESFJs. So it's like a mutual pissing off of each other, essentially. You know, because like my extrovert thinking is trying to tell them how to do something, then introvert thinking, like the process of to do something is very personal to them. So they get upset at me for trying to tell them what to do. For them, the process and the work is personal. The emotion is not personal. They don't have introvert feelings. Emotion is not personal to them, right?
Yeah.
The work is personal. So they get annoyed at me when I'm using my extrovert thinking to tell them solution. They want to come up with a solution themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but for me, and even the INTJ, it's like, you guys are wasting time. This already works.
Yeah.
But they're like, hey, that's personal. I don't tell you, it's kind of like if they went to us with our introvert feeling and told us how we should feel.
Yeah.
Why telling me how to feel? Like that's personal, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where the headbutting is happening with extrovert thinking.
I tried making a video of introverted thinking, and I couldn't conceptualize it. There wasn't a way for me to actually write it down because it just never really made sense. And then one day, like I was dating a TI dom for a bit, and I realized that introverted thinking is just the logical version of introverted feeling. Like it feels the exact same. How steadfast they are on their logical framework and stuff. How they're willing to die on a hill for it. Because similar to how I engage with FI. I'm just like, oh, okay. So I just need to replace feelings with logic, and you have introverted thinking. It's very interesting too, because like when I talk to a lot of TI DOMs, they really do just logic their feelings. Like I would feel as if I was annoying them or being kind of rude to the introverted feeling, but for them they're like, no, I don't care. Just but then when I talk about their introverted thinking, that's when they're like, whoa, John, like hold on, you didn't think that through. I'm like, oh shit, okay, my bad.
The introvert thinkers, their reasons are personal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, us with extrovert thinking, our reasons are not personal at all.
Yeah, I don't care.
It's like, I don't care. Yeah. My values are personal, so are your values.
Yeah.
But the thing with introvert thinking is also more efficient than extrovert thinking. I find that extrovert thinkers, we have a tendency to throw shit at the wall and see if it's gonna stick, if it's gonna work.
Best way of doing it.
Yeah, more trial and error. The introvert thinkers, they don't want to do that. I didn't know why. Like being wrong is super taboo for the introvert thinkers, right? Like they just can't stand being wrong. Like you'll never hear them admit that they're wrong, right? For like if your introvert thinker is like, oh, I'm wrong or whatever, who cares? You know, I realized I'm like, oh, it's evolution. You know, like back in the human caveman days, like if you made a mistake and you were wrong, you could die, or you could get kicked out of your tribe, right? You know, so we're now in the present time, and that's not really the case anymore. But those old, evolutionary survival mechanism is still there. You know, so for those guys that are introvert thinking, you can't be wrong. You have to make sure you get it right.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, like on the same vein of that too, I've thought about this too. Neanderthals passed away because they were like, "Oh, what's out there?" And then like the Homo sapiens were using SI. I'm like, we're not gonna leave this home. We're just gonna stay here, and that's who we evolved from. So SI is the reason why we're alive. And like people with intuition like us, we died. So humanity is going to survive based off of SI. It already has.
Yeah, or SE.
Yeah, SI or SE. All right, Kendra, we went over every single function so far, with the exception of introverted sensing. I know we touched on it a few times, but I want to know what it actually means for ENFP. And the kind of answer I'm hoping to get is for an INTJ. When we talk about extroverted sensing, it means we don't leave the house. It means that we don't leave the house unless I have a reason. It means that sometimes we would go to sleep because we're hungry, even though we're hungry because we don't want to cook. It means that sometimes when we're taking a shower, you don't know whether you already applied body wash yet because you were so into your head. You're just like, oh shit, do I? Then you end up reapplying body wash 2 or 3 times because you just don't remember. Right? How does introverted sensing affect the ENFP on a day-to-day basis?
So I'm dating an INTJ, so I don't like leaving the house too. We like to stay at home,
Yeah.
like 90% of the time, and then we go all out and travel everywhere after. For introvert sensing, for me, and I've seen this with other ENFPs and ENTPs also,
Mhm.
don't have extrovert sensing, so gathering new physical experience is draining. So we have a box, which is the extrovert sensing. It's a physical box, which is our home, either your apartment, your room, your house, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and we like to organize what's inside that physical box in terms of like what feels good for us or what works for us, right? So on a day-to-day basis, I tend to go to the same physical boxes that I'm familiar with. Right? So I'm familiar with the gym, so I go to the gym.
Mm.
I have my SI exercise routine. It's also a little bit different from extrovert sensing. So I noticed this with extrovert sensor versus introvert sensor. Like, yes, NFPs still have introvert sensing, and it's still being used a lot, whether we are conscious of it or not. I'm conscious of it as I got older, that when I work out, I don't like to change my exercise. I like to do the exact same exercise because the physical has been organized already.
Yeah.
But the extrovert sensing, even the INTJ, they hate the same exercise, like the movement, because the extrovert sensing wants different physical movements.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, I'm thinking of like, because I work in fitness, right? I'm like, you need to do the same physical movement for at least 3 months before you change. Can't be doing this different exercise every week, okay? You know, like if you're doing lifts, you shouldn't be doing RD, Romanian deadlift the following week, then like another kind of deadlift, like the following week, like stick to the same one for at least 3 months, you know?
But it's so boring.
Yeah, I understand it's boring. Expert sensors, even the INTJs and INFJs, they get bored from the same movement, right? Like, but you have to do it. It's kind of like you with for introverted intuition, right? You'll tell like someone, like let's say like, you know, the rich dad poor dad Robert Kiyosaki concept, right? Oh, this is how you make money. You know, like what does he say? Like make your money work for you or some shit, right?
Yeah.
You know, put all your money, like get get assets that will work for you, right? Or something, you know. And then like the people with extrovert intuition is like, but that's boring. You know, let's go find another concept that might be better.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, who's right? Well, both people are right. The person with introvert intuition is right. The person with introvert sensing is right to an extent. Like you have to stick with it for a period of time. You know, so that's one way it manifests. Another way is also just like if like how I prepare things, like cooking, for example. Like I cook the same thing, or I prepare food the same way. I eat the same food a lot of times. Fridge, I have things SI organized, like to a certain extent. Not all ENFPs do this, by the way. Usually a lot of ENFPs don't use their SI until they're older, right?
Yeah.
So like it doesn't kick in. So, but I have my way for like the physical organization. Also, physical objects are personal to me. Introvert sensing. I don't like loan people my stuff because I don't trust that they're gonna respect my soul belonging.
Yeah.
But I've noticed with the extrovert sensors, they don't care. Like even the INTJ is like, yeah, you want to borrow, I don't care. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's impersonal to us. Like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. But for people with introvert sensing, physical objects are super personal, right? So it gets a little bit touchy when I have like friends with extrovert sensing, and like let's say we're playing video games, and then like they're using my controller, and they start throwing the controller across the room, like, oh yo, that's not your controller.
Yeah, that's just being me. That's just being a fucking friend, like breaking your controller for you, like the hell.
But I noticed with extrovert sensors, they can't help it sometimes. They have to do it. Like extrovert sensors, they have like this thing where they have to like projectiles or something. Like there's like this need. Even the INTJs, like you know Dave, right? Like objective personality guy. You know, it's an INTJ. Like he'll always say like the thought of throwing something across the room makes it feels very therapeutic. You know, or like smashing things feels therapeutic. Or like you know, like there's something about extra sensing that you want to do that stuff, right? Like, like for me, I'm like that's not therapeutic. You know, I wouldn't feel therapeutic. I would be like, whoa, you messed up this thing, you know?
Yeah.
Don't mess up the physical, right?
Yeah, it's interesting you brought it up because like my friend who's remodeling his house, I told him whenever you want the wall smashed with a sledgehammer, like invite me. I want to smash that wall.
I actually heard Dave say the same thing. Like I think his dad told him like he's allowed to like smash a wall or something.
Yeah.
He's like, really? I can? You know, that's kind of like his reaction, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then for me, it's like, what? INTJs and INFJs want to break things. I'm like, what?
Mhm.
Like that friendly INFJ wants to break things, and then and I talk to them like, oh, they do? What the hell? Like it's like you never know. You never know that it's inside.
Yeah.
And you never know that ENFPs control freaks when it comes to like physical objects. You know,
Mhm.
like it's like what you are?
Yeah.
Like you're so chaotic. You're crazy.
Mhm.
Like crazy about this physical object. You know, like I interviewed another ENFP before, and he was freaking out about his couch things. His couch. And I'm like, yeah, it's like definitely like a weird ENFP thing, like the physical objects.
What is it about it that draws such connection?
What do you mean?
Like, what is it about the couch? What is it about loaning people things? What is it about, those things that makes it so personal?
Yeah, it's weird. Like I'm really weird about floors. Okay, like when I used to live in an apartment,
Yeah.
like people will come over. I was such a control freak. I'm like, because I have SI, right? So I'm like, hey, you have to put your shoes in the mat. You can't wear your shoes inside the house.
I mean, come on, yeah, we're Asian. That makes sense.
Yeah. But it gets worse. Like if their shoes is a little bit over the mat, it's touching the floor a little bit, then I'm like, hey, it's touching the floor now. You know, which is like a little bit like crazy, right? You know, and I thought about it, and it's because I don't want to do it. I don't want to do the SI. That's why I'm controlling about the SI. I don't want to clean the floor, so I don't want to step on the floor.
Gotcha.
Or like I don't want to do extrovert sensing. I don't want to gather a new physical item. So I need to preserve this my favorite physical item because I might not be able to find the same physical item again. It might be the only one. You know? So and it's attached to our feeling, right? So there's emotion attached to the physical object. It's weird. You're like, what? And then we get really nostalgic about like physical objects and like, oh, this is my favorite. I have like my favorite pull-up bar, my favorite. I have like my favorite of each object.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets a little bit weird for sure. I'm not gonna lie, it is weird. I thought about it, and I'm like, it's kind of weird because you can just replace it.
For an INTJ, or at least for me, right? Like I would get upset over sensory things that doesn't warrant being upset. When I was nailing that thing to the wall earlier, for some reason, like it wasn't spaced properly, or at least the screw wasn't spaced properly, and I was just throwing a hissy fit. I was like, why isn't this working? And then I wanted to break a wall, but I didn't. I wish I did.
I mean, it works.
Yeah. It's really interesting how the lower function engages with, like, how you engage with the lower function. I have an ISTJ friend, and she loves playing this game called Home Makeover, where it's a game where you would rub like dirt off the window. You would have to take trash out into like the trash bin and push it out into the street, and then you would have to figure out what else needs to be cleaned before you sell the house. And I'm just like, you like this? She was like, oh, it's very therapeutic. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, that's SI for you.
Yeah, it's like that game I played, the Power Wash Simulator. Power washing like the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of strangely therapeutic. I'm just like cleaning walls, and it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's odd for sure. You know what? I just want to add in one last thing. The reason why I like to follow objective personality specifically out of all the different Myers-Briggs systems that I've seen,
Doing a plug, yeah,
is because their fourth function never lies. Everyone gets triggered by their fourth function, and can't lie which fourth function that is. That's how objective personality types you. What triggers you?
Yep.
Which fourth function triggers you? You cannot hide that. You're gonna get visibly like triggered. For me, it's like the SI. It's like or like the INTJ is like extrovert sensing, right?
Yeah.
Getting hit by a car or something, right? Like. Something like that.
Coffee's too damn hot. I'm like, why is it so hot? That's interesting. That's actually how I type people too. Especially in these videos, right? I would always ask off the wall, because when you push someone in the corner, they're gonna show you their true self. And then their true self is usually a manifestation of one of the cognitive function. And it's typically one of like the lower functions. We're running up on time. I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to kind of just say whatever you want for ENFPs that are watching this, whether they're younger, your age, a little older, like anything that you want to say to all the ENFPs out there, or INTJs, or other types that are watching this video, that something that you think they should know about ENFPs, or something to make them better as a person.
Okay, I'll say something about ENFPs because I'm an ENFP, and I'll say something about INTJs because my girlfriend's an INTJ. So I think that's probably it. And then the other types, I'll take too long, so sorry, guys.
All right, but don't be mean about us, though. Don't be mean.
I won't be mean, but I'll tell you the truth about like
Okay.
what I've seen who INTJs that thrive versus INTJs that not do well. For ENFPs, there's a few things I want to say. The first one is a lot of ENFPs struggle with finding the perfect career. And I also had this struggle for a long time. I couldn't figure out what my career should be. You know, it wasn't until I started learning about the cognitive functions that I realized best career for ENFPs is the one that builds up your character. It's not actually any specific career. It's the one that will build up your character. Whatever values that you have, you really want to build up in terms of like character development. So I'll use myself as an example. My values is growth, dumb, courage, authenticity, and honesty. Those are my 5 values, right? My ideal career actually based on those 5 values, the one that would strengthen all 5 of those. Something that will give me freedom, something that will allow me to test my courage, something that tests my authenticity, an area where I have to be honest with myself and also other people, and where I'm growing. I'm not stagnant, I'm growing. So that is the ideal career. Whatever will give me those 5 is the ideal career, me as an ENFP. And other ENFPs have different FI values, so it's going to be different for you. Whatever your FI values are, you have to look at it and then pick a career that will develop those. So that's the first advice. Second advice is you probably won't know what that career is that will develop those values of yours. So in which case, my advice is the job that pays the most money. Because by the time you know what you really want to develop in terms of character, you can take that money and use it to develop yourself even faster. And also, one of the things that give ENFPs freedom is introvert sensing. What is introvert sensing? It's a physical box. And what is a physical box? It's a house. It's a home. So even if you don't know what your career is going to look like, if you save up enough money, you get your own home that you purchase, and if you own it, you will have freedom. Okay? And all ENFPs want freedom. That's like the universal thing about all ENFPs. So that's like the next advice. And I think that the third advice I have, the last one I would say is it's the combination between gathering experiences, but also knowing when to settle down. Because ENFPs tend to not want to stick in one thing too long. They are so scattered. So basically, take the time to explore the world and explore yourself and explore possibilities. And do it until you're about 35. Okay, but around 35 to 40, to start narrowing down at where you want to start building words. Kind of like INTJs are really good at building upwards, but they don't explore enough. It's a big issue, right? So the problem that INTJs would have is you might be in the wrong building. Like you climb the building and you're like, ah, shit, it's the wrong one.
That's true. I absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
Because you didn't explore first, you didn't look at the options, right? So yeah, I definitely think exploring your options up until 35. And then once you explore the option, then you can go back to what I said earlier about like which one of those options will get you a physical box at your house, and also what would develop your character. So and then give up, don't stop. Once you decided, don't stop, because like for me, I was typical ENFP. I had nothing to show for it because I kept switching careers. I kept moving to a different place. I never stuck in one thing long enough, right? I never had anything to show for. But now I do. I have my YouTube channel, and I haven't stopped. So now I have something to show for, and it's because I decided to use my SI and do the boring SI routine of doing the same thing over and over again in an arena that 5 values of mine does get developed. So it's not. So there are days it's boring. There are days it's tedious because I don't want to use my SI. Like video editing, for example, is a nightmare.
It's my favorite part of making videos.
But like it's something. Eventually, you do build up conscious competence, and it's not as bad. It does get better.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's for the ENFPs. Now for the INTJs, I guess one advice I have is don't wait till the end of your life to explore life, to explore the extrovert sensing, to explore the world. I've seen my girlfriend. I've talked to Dave. Dave said that when he finally just tries something new, overwhelming feeling of regret overcomes his body. Like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah.
Because like you're focusing that your NI so focuses on one thing. You forgot. Oh, there's other things that can bring me FI joy in my life.
Mm.
Oh my God! Like I wasted my life. Like that is a horrible feeling, right? There's also a lot of cringe INTJs that do it when they're older, like they're learning how to skateboard when they're 60. Like, oh, that's not the time to learn how to
Yo, why is that
skateboard.
cringe though? You just told them to start doing stuff.
When you're young, not when you're 60, you're gonna break your bones, you know. Like
Yeah.
I think that ship has sailed there. In that case, okay, obviously, like, or I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's not safe, you know.
Mhm.
Go skateboarding when you're young. Don't do it when you're old. So I noticed with my girlfriend because we're dating. Usually when you date someone, you start to take on each other's attributes, right? So the INTJs will teach the ENFP how to play it more safe. The ENFPs will teach the INTJs how to expand their horizon.
Mm.
So I noticed with my girlfriend because she's traveled so much. She's been to 45 countries. It's insane for an INTJ.
Yeah.
Making so significantly better decisions than other INTJs I've seen. Like bringing her so much joy in her life, and also like the right career path and the right life trajectory, and a lot of stuff that the NI-FI loop used to mull over, thinking like, oh, you're doomed, or you're screwed, whatever. It's not as intense because you've actually gathered more materials to work with. But when those materials get placed inside the NI-FI loop, you realize, oh, I have all this like materials to work with, you know. The problem with the INTJs, they don't have enough materials to work with, and they work with whatever the first few materials that they come across, and then they're building up their life, their career, and then like, oh, it could have been better had you gathered more materials first.
Yep.
So my advice to INTJs is like, set aside. I know INTJs are a little bit more like controlled and more what's the word I'm looking for? Routine based, like you need to have a routine and stuff.
Yep.
Include it in your routine that you spend once a month or once a week or worst case scenario once a year. Explore, gather new materials.
Yeah.
It's ultimately to strengthen whatever your NI is building. Okay, so it's gonna help you. Okay, and also help your FI also. You know, be more happy.
I find it interesting that your recommendation for INTJs, since you're like an NE Dom, right? NE is like the perceiving function. It's a gathering function, right, for the SI. Yeah. That your recommendation for INTJ is to engage more with SE, which it checks because I agree. I completely agree that we need to go out more. We need more SE data in order to like to kind of feed into everything, especially NI. So I just find it very interesting that as any Dom, you've noticed it very easily because that's kind of like that's your common sense as any perceiver, yeah.
And it's ultimately for FI happiness. Like,
yeah.
I've seen so many INTJs that when they finally figure out, when they finally gather, when they're older, they're like, what the hell? Like,
dude, we don't know who we are, man. Most of the time, we don't know what we like.
I mean, your NI-FI loop thinks it does. And then it turns out it's missing, key components,
yeah,
like from the extrovert sensing, and it's like, oh God, and then I just feel bad for you guys. No offense.
No, that's fine. I'm glad that you care about us enough to like feel bad for us, and also like take your girlfriend out, and then like your INTJ friend. Like that's the harsh truth that we need. The authenticity behind it, especially if it's from an authentic concern friend or someone that we care about. That's something that we actually like do internalize, and then like will make us a better person or more well-rounded person.
The problem with that sometimes though is with the INTJs is you don't know what you don't know. So like I have to trick my girlfriend a lot of times. Like, so
should you be saying that? Is she gonna watch this video? Like,
no, she's right beside me. But like,
okay. Hi.
No, but she's working.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. No, I just want to say that with the INTJs, so anyone out there that you're watching this, if you have INTJ friends and you want to help them out, how to trick them, okay? So with the extrovert sensing, it's almost like it has to be a surprise that they discovered something. Take them along to some place familiar, but there's actually a surprise that they don't know is going to happen. Then once they see the surprise, too late. and and after that, they've gathered it already with extrovert sensing because they have to. They're there already. Then later on, they'll think about it with their NIFI loop. Then they'll suddenly upgrade. So they might be pissed at you at first.
Yeah.
To surprise them. They'll thank you later. They've like taken this thing, this data, or this thing, this extrovert sensing thing, and integrated the NIFI. They'll thank you later. So it's they won't be that mad.
Yeah, your miles will vary. Your miles will definitely vary. All right, Kendrick, thanks again for being on this channel. I'll have a link to Kendrick's page below so you guys can check it out. Again, he puts out lots of great content out there. I think you're fantastic. I think what you're doing is great for the community. Like I'm impressed. It honestly, when I see you put out all these videos so consistently, it makes me think like how I could do. Why am I not doing better? So you're affecting me, helping build the community. It is a flywheel, so I do appreciate it. And thanks again for being on my channel, man.
Thanks for having me. I just want to say one last thing. I feel like there's like a mutual respect between INTJs and ENFPs. Because when I see INTJs, I'm like in awe. INTJs see what I'm doing, also in awe. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that mutual respect and admiration.
Yeah, dude. It's that. I had an ENFJ on my channel recently, and he was like, he doesn't get why INTJs love ENFPs because ENFPs don't care about like the barrier to INTJs build, and he's just like, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm just like, it makes sense to me. Like yeah, it's a very easy kinship, very easy relationship to be built.
100%.
All right, man. Thanks again. I really do appreciate it. Thank you everyone for watching, and yeah, see you all later. Bye everyone.